As you might have guessed from my previous episodes, dream is definitely one of my favorite subjects. I know it's not everybody's favorite because dreams are just dreams. But if a same setting, same situation, or a same person comes back in your dream for an extended period of time, or even for years, I think even the most hardcore skeptics may feel somewhat uncomfortable and try to find what the implication of the recurring dream should be. Today we are taking a look at some stories from people who are stuck in the loop of such recurring dreams. As you'd find, their implication and impact vary. Some may seem to suggest the existence of previous life or glitch in the matrix. Others seem to be a bad omen, and yet another are simply weird and even amusing. So here are 5 allegedly true stories about recurring dreams. As always, handpicked, translated and narrated by host Anthony. Since when? In dreams I find myself lying in my own bed and looking over my room, reflecting exactly the real situation. So much so, on the day I left the room messy, I saw exactly the same messy room in my dream too. Even the time seemed to flow in real time, and I saw dark room filling in with blue light of the dawn and then into pale morning light. Even though nothing dramatic happened, I found it still stressful because I could not tell if I was awake or in a dream anymore. The only clue I could distinguish that it was a dream was that the corners of the view were slightly darker, as if with a vignette effect in photos. Then something started to happen in the dream. The door handle of my bedroom door started moving as if somebody was trying to open it. At first it was so subtle and slow, but it was definitely moving from the usual horizontal position as it should when it is closed. I found it strangely unnerving, so I pulled out the door handle in real life, which left an inch-size hole. Then I sensed somebody looking in through the hole in my dreams. So I filled up the hole with a putty and installed an elastic band from the door to the wall so the door would close by itself. And then in dreams, I saw somebody pushing a knife blade through the gap between the door and the frame, trying to cut off the elastic band. Now totally paranoid, I taped up the gap so thick that I have to push quite hard now just to open the door. That seems to be working somehow, and I haven't seen any further attempt in my dreams for the time being. I spent my childhood in the US. When I was preschool age, I once went to see a circus show. That was the first time I saw a clown in person. He was a midget, and the grotesque makeup, especially the mouth drawn in thick scarlet color, left me a strong, well, shall I say, traumatic impression. Ever since, I never liked clowns, so much so I don't go to McDonald's. But overall, it remained nothing much more than a little private phobia, until one day 8 years ago, I had that dream. I still remember the date too, February 15th, 2003. It was the day before the graduation from middle school. I went out to town with friends to shop and have fun, but I wasn't well all day, feeling strange chills. I came back home and went to bed early, and that was the first time I had that dream. I found myself in the monochromatic world, full of grey and faint pale blue, empty other than few skeletons scattered around. As I walked, I could sense the rough sand under my feet. I must have walked through that pale, creepy landscape for a long time indeed. Then things flickered as if the whole world was malfunctioning television, followed by a bone-chilling creaking noise. Then appeared in front of me a huge amusement park. Everything in the park was also grey and empty, no bright lights, playful music, or people having fun. Merry-go-round was running empty by itself, while roller coaster was sitting heavily. Behind them was a big Ferris wheel, and in one of its gondolas was sitting a clown. He turned to look at me, and with that I woke up. Even after I woke up, his saturated red mouth was engraved in my memory so clearly against otherwise grey world. And that same dream has been recurring over the past 8 years. But it's never exactly the same. I can sense it evolving and expanding. The distance I have to walk till I arrive at the amusement park is getting so much longer that the thirst I feel at the end of it is almost palpable. The park has got bigger too, adding new rides over the time. The clown would appear in various ways, sometimes hanging over the wheel, sometimes stuck on the outside of its gondola like a grotesque insect, or sometimes springs out a paw with a clown on the tip of it, looking down on me. Problem is, I can sense the clown getting nearer to me over the time. By now, his close presence feels so threatening that I try to run away, but I still cannot wake up from the dream. Only when the clown finds me out and faces me with that red mouth can I wake up. This dream recurs at least 3 to 5 times a year, and every time something bad would happen to me or around me. Dad leaving us for another woman, Grandpa's death, Aunt's miscarriage, big bicycle accident, a friend's car accident. They all occurred within a few days after this dream. When I mentioned the date I first had the dream, some of you might have noticed already. 3 days after it was the Daegu metro fire tragedy, and I lost my best friend to that, with whom I went out shopping just 3 days prior. Normally, I'm really easygoing and don't pay much attention to superstitions. I hardly ever remember other dreams once I wake up, but this dream has been baffling me in ever-growing intensity. It even changed my path. I used to dream of becoming a maths teacher as I loved maths, but now I'm on masters for psychology, hoping that I might find a clue to understand this mystery. But I haven't found any yet. And just last night, I had a dream again. The clown got closer to me than ever before. I've been trying all day long not to think about it, deliberately playing bright music and watching funny videos. But scared nonetheless I am of what kind of bad thing should occur, and how much longer this dream should follow me around. Please, tell me if any of you also suffer such recurring dreams. I live in a flat on a semi-basement floor. The window of my kitchen faces the street outside, and I get to see the feet of people passing by. One day, in a dream, I found myself cooking in the kitchen. Suddenly a hand bursted in through the window, a dry, bony, that looked to belong to somebody who'd been starved for a long time. It flicked its finger as if asking for food, So I put a piece of ham on it, and with that the hand disappeared. The scene then changed to another evening and another cooking in the kitchen. The skinny hand barged in through the window again, so I handed a slice of cheese. Since then, I got this dream occasionally. A sausage this time, a rice ball another time. It repeated so regularly, even in the dream I got a bit irritated with this hand that always asked for food. So one day, I gave it a hot chili. Well, that kept the hand from coming back to my dream a while. But at least, as the time progressed, I could see the hand getting fleshier and its skin getting plumper, which proved that I was really helping. So I resumed giving it little something, even a piece of candy if nothing else. And one day, the hand visited again, and I found it now all fat and blobby. I wondered now, should I still be giving it food? I think the hand, or the person behind the hand, sensed it too, and didn't dare to flex its fingers this time before it disappeared. And that was the last time I saw the hand in my dream. I usually sleep like a dead man and don't dream often. But when I do dream, it usually takes place in one of these same locations time after time. The alley to my old primary school via a stationery shop, a library with piles of books, a public toilet which seemed to belong to a school building, and a maze-like shopping mall with a big round open space in the middle. The people appearing and situations in the dream change every time, but they all take place in one of these settings, probably dozens and dozens of times. Last night I had a dream, and I was once again back in the alleyway to my old primary school. I made a stop at the stationery shop on the way, and found a little tin jars decorated with what looked like Rudolph the reindeer. It looked like a perfect vessel to make a gift of sweets to my work colleagues, so I picked 6 of them and brought them to the cashier. The cashier then said, "I remember you, miss." "Really?" I said. "You were the only one who bought the E.T. candy from here," she said. I said I didn't know what she meant. "Well, when you were a little girl, you bought those candies when nobody else seemed to want it," she said. I really don't remember. Sorry." To my reply, the cashier's face changed. "You don't remember? How could you not? I brought you to the same place time after time just to make a chance to run into and talk to you, and you don't remember?" I was alarmed and confused. I made an apology that it must have been many years ago, but she wouldn't have it. "It took a long time to make this happen. God knows when I'd meet you again. Remember it all, right now!" She came around the counter as if to catch me. Now totally scared of this mad woman, I dropped everything and jumped out of the shop. For some reason, she seemed not being able to get out of the shop. She just banged and kicked on the door of the shop, screaming. Her eyes turned glaring red, and hair all a mess as she violently shook her head in the outburst. I could just watch on with horror, when a little boy with a purple flower in his hand came up to me and said, "Why are you back here? Told you not to. I've been trying to avoid this, but that vile woman is still chasing you. Hurry, go along. And with that, he pushed me. Next moment, I was in the usual library with the piles of books. But then the boy came up to me again and said, "Not here either," and pushed me once again. As the background flipping through the sad familiar settings, I woke up from the dream. I'm still confused. Who was that woman and the boy? What is this E.T. candy she was talking about? Is this really just a dream? I had a friend in my middle school. She was a troubled child who would put on a heavy makeup and run away from school with other boys. But other than that, she neither made other notable troubles or bullied other classmates. I was, and still am, a bit of a nerd, and first got to talk to her over the topics like games and cartoons, and we became friends. But as we entered different high schools, and it was long before the time of mobile phones and messengers, we quickly lost contact afterwards. About 2 years later, I got to hear she died. She drove a car with no license and crushed, killing herself and her 2 friends on the spot. I knew all 3 from the middle school and was shocked and saddened by the news. A few years passed, and one day I was taking a nap at home, and in the dream, my friend and the other 2 girls killed in the car accident barged into my place. "A car is waiting for you downstairs. Hurry," said my friend. I didn't ask what for or where we were going, but just apologized and hurried myself down. In the car were the tall girl in the driver's, my friend on the passenger seat, and I sat myself next to the 3rd girl in the back seat. I wasn't feeling any way odd or awkward, as I knew them all after all. The car took off and ran straight through the empty street, devoid of any other cars or passerbys, until we were stopped by a barricade. A man in black with a loudspeaker instructed the other 3 girls to come out of the car. He rounded them up to the side of the road and seemed talking to them. But suddenly he sprinted over to me in the car and shouted, "Get out! Run away! Quickly!" My body reacted before I could think. I just ran as I was told, I don't know how long, but until I saw a rest area. I hid myself in the public toilet and saw in the mirror a different face than my own looking back. And there I woke up with a startle. The dream left me in a strange mood for a long time. It was so vivid and real that it felt even more troubling. Where were they trying to take me to, and what might have happened had I not run away? And the guy who told me to run away? I knew I had met him before, but could not pinpoint who and how. Some friends, when I told them about the dream, said he might be my ancestor or a guardian angel, but he felt more like a person I had known personally, somebody once so important to me, but erased from my memory. About a year after the dream, I had yet another dream in my nap. A woman with jet black hair and eyes, and in dress that looked like that of a late Victorian style, appeared and attacked me with a huge knife. Funny thing was, the moment I saw her, I knew that she was the wife of the mystery man in my previous dream, and that I had done something that deserved this attack. Regardless, my fright mode kicked in and I ran away into the dark forest until I fell. I helped myself getting up by holding on to what felt like a stone plaque. When I looked at it, I realized it was a tombstone. My tombstone. Next moment, I was stabbed by the woman who caught up with me, and I once again realized that this was how I had died. As I died, facing the woman's shouting of curses, all I could feel was how I missed the man. A few years passed, and I had another dream. I was standing by myself at a river bank. I was waiting for the man. Then I saw a group of people approaching, led by a boy. The boy came up to me and told me they were all heading to their hometown, but the journey would take a long time, longer than I could ever imagine. I didn't know what to respond to that, but the boy then added, "He cannot come today. He desperately wanted, but cannot. He asked me to tell you that he was so sorry, and he will try to make it next time." I woke up with a huge sense of despondency. Another few years, and yet another dream. This time I was sitting in a tea room at a train station. The setting looked like late 19th century Europe. The tea room was packed with people, but as I looked out of the window, there was not a sign of train nor any people waiting on the platform. I knew I was once again waiting for him. But he didn't come after a long time. Then an old gentleman entered the tea room and walked straight up to me.
"He can't come today. He told me to pass on his apologies to you."
I just bursted into tears there. I woke up with a strange mixture of sadness and bitterness, constantly being stood up by a man I don't even remember. And yet after another few years, I had this dream. I was walking through a forest, shining blindingly a fresh green. At the end of it was a glassy lake and a greenhouse full of exquisite flowers. And in the greenhouse was a man. I knew instantly. It was the man I'd been waiting and looking for through the eternity, the love of my destiny whom I had never really forgot. I ran into his arms, all in tears. He didn't say anything, but I could just feel how sorry he was. We fell on the grass, wrapped in each other's arms. I couldn't take my eyes and hands off of him and his face. How could I have ever forgot who he was? How could I ever forgot this face? I could not forgive myself and repeated to myself that I should never ever forget him again. But time came to part again. It was closer to terror rather than sadness that grabbed me. I shook all over with fear. How could I live on without him? I could only because I had forgot him, but now that the memory was back, I had no courage to go on again. I hung onto his arms and grabbed his face like a mad woman just to feel him one more time, one more second. In my desperation, I came up with an idea. Should I at least learn what his name was? Wouldn't I be able to find him again when I wake up from this dream? I asked him to tell me his name, and he opened his mouth for the first time since our reunion. But in the language I've never heard of. It was so unearthly a sound that it felt more like that of an alien. Before I could react, I woke up from the dream. I bewailed, feeling like my guts slashed into pieces. I could tell that was the last time. I would never see him again. After such a long time of waiting and searching for each other, that was it. I think I was consumed in tremendous sense of loss for a good while afterwards. Before that last dream, I vaguely expected if he be the man of my destiny, I should one day meet him again, whether it be in this life or after, and finally stay happily together. But no, the last dream made it clear to me there wouldn't be the happily ever after ending for me and him. The last dream is already 8 years ago, and just as I expected, he has never returned to my dream again.
Hi, it's Anthony here, and thank you very much for your listening. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. Did any of you too had recurring dreams at certain point? I had one through my childhood into teenage years, but unfortunately I don't remember any details anymore. Well, that's many years ago already. But I remember that I always realized I was in the recurring dream yet another time, in the middle of the dream, and for that point on it was all nerves and confusion. Why am I here again? What's going on? Let me out, and so on. Anyway, if you had any yourself, do let me know in the comment. If you enjoyed my video, please give me a little boost by leaving me a comment and clicking the like and notification bell. If you are already excited about future episodes, why not subscribe to my channel? Here you'll get weekly dose of fresh stories right from Korean internet communities delivered to your door. Until the next, stay safe and take care.